What is one single biggest mistake that homeowners make before they die?
I'd say thinking that the property will automatically go to spouse or anyone else.
Wow. That thinking that their property will automatically be transferred to their spouse or children is the biggest mistake that homeowners make.
Right.
Without a will or a trust.
Exactly. Without a plan.
Huh. Interesting. So if there is someone out there now that has a property, but they don't have a will, they don't have a trust, what would be your message to such a person?
I would tell them to sit down with an estate planning attorney. And the reason why I say that is because going back to earlier, I said when you don't tell the government who's supposed to get your stuff, they decide. So, for example, in Texas, when someone passes away who did not have an estate plan and they had a blended family, Texas has decided that the person who passed, their share of that property should be divided amongst all of the children.
Okay.
Not necessarily spouse. In states like Tennessee, same situation where you pass away, you haven't left an estate plan. The court may think that surviving spouse could only get a certain percentage, and the rest be divided amongst the children. Depending on the relationships that you have with the children, that can cause a lot of strain, especially if it's a blended family. So the assumption that that property will automatically go to spouse 100% when you pass away without having to do anything, without having to go to court, without having to file anything with anyone, it's not true.
Wow. So if anyone has a property and they don't have a will, they don't have a trust, they are more or less working for someone else to reap the fruit of their labor.
Maybe.
Because it pains me that you have almost 250,000 equity on a property and you don't have a will, you don't have a trust. You assume that, maybe you will not even die because nobody plans to die.
Right.
And then you died, but your asset is now being decided by someone that you don't even know.
Right.
So the wisdom is to sit down with a professional like you, with an expert like you, to be counseled and to take the So what will be the first step for someone to take? They have a property, but they don't have a will, they don't have an asset.
Yeah, the first step is to definitely sit down with an estate planning attorney if you can. If you can't, look up a financial power of attorney.
Okay.
That's a document that you can find online if you really can't sit down with an attorney. But with that document, you can write out who should be in charge of your estate, who should be in charge of your assets, in charge of the property if something happens to you, but you're still alive. Maybe you're incapacitated. That way, if something happens, you still have someone that can make those decisions on your behalf if you can't make them for yourself.
And is that binding? Is that legally accepted?
100%. If you have that financial power of attorney, then if I was your agent, for example, I'm the person that you chose, I would be able to create an estate plan for you.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'd be able to help with any deeds on your property for you while you're still alive.
Why you as the person is but what about when the person dies? What happens?
When the person dies, that's where we're going to wills and trusts. If you don't have it before, then things get complicated. But if you're still alive, the first thing I recommend,
get that
financial power of attorney. Sit down with an attorney if you can.